I have stated that I think Facebook is a threat to democracy. And to be clear, I don't just think it's Facebook. So it's Facebook, it's YouTube, it's Twitter, it's Google's search engine, it's Instagram. The business model is based on advertising. In order to get the advertising to work, they have to manipulate your attention to see a lot of ads, because the ads are in a news feed, so they're flowing by really quickly. So they need a lot of your time. The first trick they do is they need to get you to come back a lot. And they use elements of psychology, namely rewards. And they use them the same way that slot machines work. They give you rewards at unpredictable times in the form of notifications and likes and stuff like that. And you say to yourself, well, gosh, those things are personal to me and they're coming, when they come in. No. They're generated by an artificial intelligence, and they are timed to when past history suggests you are most vulnerable to being lured back on. So what they're trying to do is create a habit. They want you to come back a lot. And then comes the question of what happens? Well, most of the people who come back a lot develop some level of addiction to the product, right? How early in the morning do you check your phone, right? So you got that issue. But that's not enough. Now they got to get you to spend a lot of time there. And the way they do that is they appeal to lizard brain emotions like outrage and fear. They discovered that happiness causes jealousy in a large part of the market, right? We all look at everybody's happy lives on Facebook and it pisses us off. But if somebody is afraid or outraged, they share their fear or outrage, because if somebody else shares your fear or outrage, you feel better. It's tribal, right? So let's think about this. They figure out, wow, that's interesting. So after a while, they learn what triggers your outrage. They build this big profile of you. And then they figure out the sort of things you respond to. So they start sending you more and more and more of that. Well, let's think about the consequence of that. Let's say you're curious about the link between vaccines and autism. So they suggest, well, maybe you should check out this group. You get into the group. The group's all these people who believe in the link between vaccines and autism. You're getting half a dozen things a day, every day for a year, by the end of which you are a true believer. Let's say you're curious about whether there's a human aspect to climate change. They get you into a group. They explain to you either there is or there isn't. They bombard you every day. Pretty soon your ideas become more rigid and more extreme. So if you think about doing that to everybody, we have a Truman Show, right? 2.2 billion Truman Shows. Everybody has their own reality. In the United States of America, we have a democracy. Democracy depends on a shared set of facts, and we can argue about what to do about the facts, but we have to agree about the facts. 40% of Americans today, at a minimum, identify with at least one issue that is demonstrably false. 1/3 denies any human involvement in climate change, and roughly 7% believe in the link between autism and vaccines. And both of those things, scientifically speaking, are not open to debate. And there's almost no overlap between the two communities. So I'm sitting there going, ooh, in a democracy, if we have 40% of the population that is convinced, at least, by the way, Flat Earth has gone bananas, right? And they've identified 2 channels on YouTube that have driven the entire increase in the belief in Flat Earth over the last 2 years. So YouTube is the biggest driver of conspiracy theories by a mile. They now say that more than half of the health information on Facebook is false, including a huge percentage of what is coming from legitimate news sources. Okay? Almost everything on YouTube that purports to be scholarly is not true. Right? So if you sit there and, I don't know if you saw, there's a Washington Post op-ed by the father of the woman, the broadcaster who was killed on TV in Virginia a couple of years ago. So, there are all these people who have cobbled together completely invented conspiracy theories about that murder. And his family is bombarded with them every single day. I had a woman come up to me at one of these things 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles and said my 8th grade daughter came home and told me Pearl Harbor didn't happen. And I asked her, really? Why not? She said, well, the Japanese couldn't possibly have flown all the way from Japan to Hawaii at that time. I said, how do you know that? I saw it on YouTube. That's why I worry about democracy, okay? You can't fix that with more technology. You can't fix that with AI. When people believe things are demonstrably not true, you can only fix that by going face to face with eye contact. See, the problem here is because of Google, everybody thinks they're an expert, right? Real experts don't count anymore because you can just look it up. The problem is the stuff that's there is nonsense. People criticize Wikipedia, but most of what's in Wikipedia is not only accurate, it's got references so you can look it up the source material. But most of what's on YouTube is nonsense. And that's not to say there isn't good stuff on YouTube. It's just that YouTube's impact on people in high school right now is staggering, and most of it's harmful. And there is no economic incentive for these guys to clean up the mess.